snake for a necktie. I got a brand new house built on the roadside, made from a rattlesnake hide. I got a brand new chimney and it's built on top, made from a human skull. Now come on, baby, let's take a little walk. Tell me who do you love? Tell me who do you love?
Now, I thought it's time we do another music vlog, a bit of musical nostalgia for you, after quite a few requests. But lately it's just getting time, just a great lot to do. But anyway, I've made an effort. And I think I posted on one of the vlogs a while ago that I was going to put on how it all began, where did it start, along with busted at the Cotham Hotel, red car, with Lemmy and David Coverdale. But we'll get to that. But firstly, what I want to do, I want to go back to a previous earlier vlog I did about 18 Earlsfield Road. Now, anyone who's watched that should remember that it was there Michael resided with Roger the Hat Manifold, later to become Pink Floyd's top roadie. And he introduced me to an American band called The Misunderstood, where the pedal steel guitarist and the singer at the time, Steed Horde, they were residing in a flat on the middle floor. But anyway, that's all been said and done. Eventually I started work for them, The Misunderstood, and after a while they broke up. And they turned into Juicy Lucy, but we'll get to that in a moment. Now, I want to go back to prior to them days, and I was playing in one or two bands here and there. I got quite a good name for a step-in drummer. Anyone who quit a band or out like that, Michael was the boy to contact to get in. And through that line, I got to know a guy called Roger Barker. And he was the co-founder and manager of one or two Middlesbrough area bands, but also he ran on a Sunday night a venue at the Cotham Hotel, Redcar. He ran Redcar Jazz Club. Now, anyone who's anyone has done the Redcar Jazz Club. And it was in the Cotham Ball Hotel that it stayed for quite a few years, until eventually it moved into the Cotham Ball, which obviously was a bowling alley, which was approximately about 500 yards away from the hotel site. Obviously I'll be putting pictures on here so you'll see various things and that. Now, one gig I went along to, I had a group van with us that night, and Michael was doing a bit of roadieing as well as playing for a local band. And on the way back to Barnet Castle, where I was residing at the time, at my mother's, I bumped into a couple of boys and a good-looking half-caste girl hitching a lift along the trunk road at Redcar and heading for Middlesbrough. No bypasses in them days. And anyway, Michael stopped and they all got in and they were heading for Stockton, Thornaby way. And through conversation, these three ended up stopping at Barnet Castle at Mother's place. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, it'll all come to fruition shortly. What I did find out was these two boys are all schoolmates and they've been in a band together. So there was a connection with what I did and what they were doing. Obviously them on a small scale, but they had a little band going at the time at around Middlesbrough area. But anyway, we'll get back to them too. So let's get back to 18 Earlsfield Road. Well, after the demise of the Misunderstood, where Steve Hord went back to America, the singer, Glenn Fernando Campbell, the founder of that band and the founder of his new band, which was called Juicy Lucy. Now, the drummer they had at the time, very good friend of mine, that was the Misunderstood, was a guy called Guy Evans, obviously originally Welsh. And he was in a band called Van der Graaf Generator. Well, he decided to leave at the same time as Steve Hord. And so what happened was he went back to Van der Graaf Generator, which had reformed again. And me being in the middle at the time as roadie for the Misunderstood and to be roadie for Juicy Lucy, due to managerial and contractual purposes, I was asked by Glenn Fernando, would I stand in on drums as well as roadieing as well, which obviously was a bit of a break, but I had future plans. But anyway, I said, yeah, well, no problem. But I can't think of his name now, but the lead guitarist from the band also had left. And he'd only been with Juicy Lucy a couple of weeks. Wasn't his scene. So the next thing I know, in some rehearsal rooms at Park Royal in London, Glenn was auditioning new members and looking mainly for another guitarist and a drummer, obviously. He had a drummer lined up, but he wasn't able to start for about another 6 weeks, so Michael had to stand in his place. And in the meantime, back at 18 Earlsfield Road, this is where it comes into play. A knock on the front door, and at the time Michael was going down the staircase to exit the property, and I answered the door, and lo and behold, them two boys that I gave a lift to had come to have a word with Glenn Fernando about the position of lead guitarist. Now, them two boys, I may as well tell you now, one of them was living in London at the time, and the other boy had come down and stayed with him and looking for a position in a band. Well, he got the job, and that was now him nowadays. He went on to play for many famous artists and that. And that was a guitarist called Moody. And the guy who was with him, the singer, was Paul Rodgers. So that's who I had in my bedroom, with a good-looking girl as well. Mickey Moody and Paul Rodgers. Paul at the time had just sort of got himself together with the rest of the band Free. And Mickey, he got the job as guitarist in Juicy Lucy. Now, I'll put a couple of clips on of Juicy Lucy.
I'm on the road again, and I'm sleeping. With my sexy queen, I'm driving on the road again. My eyes are getting sore. It's a road going more and more. Times I'm drifting by. I like to close my eyes, but I'm not road again, and I'm dreaming, dreaming. She's not the take one. Well, you know it ain't easy, 'cause my baby, she left me. I'm going down slow and easy, and it ain't easy. I tried to tell her, but she wouldn't even listen to me. I'm not the one who hasn't loved me and a lucky key. Well, you know it ain't easy. She done gonna leave me. I'm going down slow and easy, and it ain't easy. I tried to tell her, but she wouldn't even listen to me. I'm not the one who hasn't loved me and a lucky key. Hey! Come on!
I want to go back now to Redcar Jazz Club, and I got a phone call of Roger Barker, the guy who ran the Redcar Jazz Club, asking could I possibly stand in for him with one of his managed bands, which was a band from Middlesbrough called Government. Now, the Government had a particularly good frontman singing. And who was that, Michael? And that was David Coverdale. Now, so Michael had a quick rehearsal with them and appeared the following Sunday at the Redcar Jazz Club supporting Hawkwind. And who was in Hawkwind at that time? Lemmy, who later went into Motorhead. But anyway, we'd gone on set first, obviously, being the support act, and we warmed the audience up. And then I'll put a picture on of Redcar Jazz Club, and the pink section to the left-hand side was the ballroom. And in the first two windows of the actual hotel on the right-hand side, this is floor level, was a little area called the Snug. You usually found one or two hotels and that had a little drinking place called the Snug. It was quite a popular gesture at the time. So, anyway, we'd finished the set and I quickly grabbed a towel and had a bit rubbed down of sweat, and me and Davy Coverdale, we went into the Snug to get a drink, and in there was Hawkwind preparing to go on. Well, we stood at the bar waiting to get served, and we'd only been in a couple of minutes, and the doors burst open and in came Middlesbrough Drug Squad. Busted. Why was that? Well, Hawkwind at the time were noted for it. Big into acid, the smoke, the lot like. And of course, we were all carted out and took to Middlesbrough Police Station along the trunk road. They're questioned. Obviously, they had nothing on me and David, and I don't think they caught anywhere. But the interesting part of it was the local paper, the Evening Gazette, which was printed in Middlesbrough, offices in Middlesbrough. The very next day, on the Monday evening, as it came out, headlines front page was Mayor of Middlesbrough busted in drug raid at the Cotham Hotel. Well, I hooted for years over that, and it's been a favourite story of mine to tell. But anyway, that's about it for this one. And so we've incorporated a few little issues there. I will further on at some stage go into Juicy Lucy before I left them and moved on into something different. That I'll tell you about at a later date. But there you go. Hope you enjoy it. Keep watching.
I walk 47 miles of barbed wire, use a cobra snake for a necktie. I got a brand new house built on the roadside, made from a rattlesnake hide. I got a brand new chimney and it's built on top, made from a human skull. Now come on, baby, won't you take a little walk and tell me who do you love? 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 Like my old man, he took me by the hand, he said, ooh, daddy, I understand. And tell me who do you love? Tell me who do you love? Tell me who do you love? Tell me who do you love?